Anyway, we're back. So are you. We are back. The boys are back there in the background. Salt Lake City, you were there. Boots on the ground. How was the event, brother?
As Salt Lake City always is, it's fire. So the Salt Lake City fans are insane. They're just really educated. They're really into the fights. It's a big sports town anyways with the basketball team, and I think they got a hockey team too. The food culture in Salt Lake City, the food's really good. The people are cool. That celebrities, for whatever reason, like to come out to Salt Lake City to the fights there too. I think some of that's probably the Salt Lake City always has really good fight cards. And the fights were pretty good. I mean, all the way through the night, there wasn't any real bad fights. The judges took the night off, apparently. I think there were some weird, questionable decisions, which is not – I kind of went off on the post show, and I hope that it didn't come off to the fighters like I was coming at them, because they're just doing their jobs and fighting to the best of their ability, and that has nothing to do with them. They're not at fault at all. But thought that was a little weird. And Alex Pereira puts on another absolute banger.
Well, let's just talk about the judges real quick. I was on a plane traveling back, so I missed most of the prelims, but I caught Wonderboy and Buckley, and then obviously the main card. But I did see a lot of griping online. I was following along on Twitter and stuff like that. And then I did a review show for TNT Sports yesterday, and they were talking about the judging. And I said, same thing, I never saw most of the prelims, but it's such a shame that we've just got used to this in this sport. It's just become a norm. You know what I mean? That judges get it wrong and we just accept it. You know, when these fighters are going out there, putting their life on the line, sacrificing so much, there's so many, you know, the consequences of winning and losing are massive. Certainly if it's a title fight, but if it's a number one contender matchup, or maybe you've been on a skid and you lose one, then you get cut, you know, not to mention, you know, the pride of winning, the win bonus. There's so many things, and we just accept now as a part of the sport that judges are gonna get it wrong, which is just insane.
And there was, just to clarify, there was some close fights that went the opposite direction of what I thought. I thought, oh man, I didn't think that maybe Tisha Pennington won that fight. I didn't think she did. It was one of those fights that was pretty close. It depends on what kind of, like, what you're looking for, I suppose. What things you favor over others. But I thought Carla Esparza did enough to win. But, you know, I'm not going to like really cry too much about that one. There was another female fight that Jana Toba, that was a really close one. I thought went the wrong way. But then Jose Aldo, like, that's absolutely crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy to me and Dana went off on it on the press conference. I totally, absolutely disagreed with that decision. And I thought Raquel Pennington won that fight. I thought she lost rounds 2 and 3, or no. Yeah, I thought she lost rounds 2 and 3, and I thought she won 1, 4, and 5. I really did.
I agree with you there. A buddy of mine was there with Carla Esparza. He's a good friend of hers, and he texted me saying he thought that she won. I said, you know, I didn't see it, sadly. The Jose Aldo one, it's an interesting one. Because there was a lot of takedown attempts that resulted in no takedowns. And this always pisses me off. And I've always said this as a striker, of course, you know, when you're engaged up against a fence and a fighter's trying to take you down, the battle going on right there is one guy's trying to put you down to the ground and one guy is trying to keep the fight on the feet. If the fight stays on the feet, and let's say there's 45 seconds, let's say there's a minute, 90 seconds, whatever it is, for that period of time, I've won that battle because you were trying to take me down. But in the scoring criteria, that's not how they judge it. They don't judge a negative. Nothing happened. Well, he was controlling you then. So no, he wasn't controlling. Do you think the game plan was to push me up against the fence and hold me and do little tippy-tappy knees, or, you know what I mean, little rabbit shots like that to your body that don't hurt at all? He was trying to take me down. I think Jose Aldo should have been given the credit. But under the scoring criteria...
Well, if we're really going to dig into the scoring criteria, and this is what I told Dana, they say that wrestling isn't judged favorably. Like, you don't get points for a takedown because it's a change in position. What is clinching up against the cage? That's cage wrestling. It's just the exact same thing that's happening on the floor, but up against the fence. If that's how we're going to look at wrestling, it's a change in position, then nobody gets any benefit. There's no negatives or positives for anything that happens on the fence if there's no effective grappling or striking happening. We're not going to count a couple knees to the thighs as effective striking.
Nope.
So in my eyes, if I'm reading it correctly, then that's a 0 for everybody. So take all that cage wrestling out of it completely. Now look at the rest of the fight. Who won everything, every other part of that fight? It was very clearly Jose Aldo. So that's where I'm confused. If all that wrestling is a 0, then for anybody, then anything else that happened is what we're judging on, and that's Jose Aldo, and I don't think anyone can even question that.
That is a really good point, because as wild as that is, that's correct. Let's just say someone hits a beautiful takedown, a blast double, you shoot through the air, they take off, they land on the back, and you get on top. According to the criteria, which sadly we do have to go by, right? Because they're the rules in place. The stupid criteria says that that's just a change in position. I'm sorry. But you've just launched somebody through the air, landed them flat on the back. And just like I said about the dude in Paris, if that was in the streets and you slam a dude on his back, he's going to be winded as shit, might crack his head open, and whack, you can finish him off, right? That's not a change.
But if you land in guard or you land in a more of a neutral position, you control the posture, you don't take any big shots, it's a 0. That's a 0, which is crazy to me. But also, if we go back, then we're looking at wrestlers like, guys like, and this isn't a negative because I love John Fitch and I liked watching him fight. But then you got guys like John Fitch who take people down, necessarily doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but controls the fight. And people don't want to watch that either because people were winning that way. But and then one of the criteria is that remember we used to always complain, it wasn't that long ago actually, where we'd look at the stats and one guy significantly outstruck the other one. It could be 2-1. He lands more strikes, but the ones that the guy that didn't land as many, his shots were more impactful and did more damage. So we started complaining and saying, no, this guy landed double the strikes of this guy. How does he end up being the loser? And then what did the judges tell us? Well, damage is the number one criteria we look at. It's effective striking, not just the numbers. Okay, that's fair. If that's what we're doing, let's just keep it consistent. Well, if we look at Jose Aldo's face compared to Bautista's face, who won there on damage? So even if we give him a tiny edge because of the wrestling attempts, then we should give Jose Aldo an even more edge for the damage he was able to do when he was free. And then we can go and go and go, and maybe the referee should have split him up a little more. I think those are tough fights to be a referee for, because you got one guy who's clearly got a game plan. And if you start breaking them up more often, now it looks as if you're inserting yourself into the result of that fight.
Yeah, but the thing is, if the game plan is to try and take him down and all that's happening, the result of that game plan is ineffective. You are, as you said, no one's winning. The fans aren't winning. The people that are paying the tickets aren't winning. The people watching at home aren't winning. Dana White ain't winning. No one's winning. Everyone's sitting there scratching their head going, break up the goddamn fight, right? Because it's boring. But fair enough. You got to be allowed to try and improve your position. So the first time, give him a bit. Give him a bit to go. But when history shows that every time you hit the fence and it's just a 50-50, overhook, underhook, and you can't do anything with it, if it continues to go back there, break it up a bit quicker.
Because if they were on the ground, they'd stand them up.
Yeah.
And I don't see the
just
difference.
Go, right, break this up. Stop doing that, because you ain't going to take him down. Stop stalling the fight. Be a man and fight properly. And if you want to take him down, great. But if you can't take him down, we're going to break it up immediately.
Well, and I agreed with the Merab Dvalishvili decision in Salt Lake City versus Jose Aldo. The difference was nothing happened in the interim. So the only thing that essentially happened was Merab held Jose Aldo on the fence. Now, if we take that away, we have nothing to judge the rest of the fight on. Like, you get to a point where there's gotta be a winner. Like, someone has to win. So Jose was not anywhere close to as effective when he got to space with Merab as he was with Mario Bautista. So, and this isn't, I know Bautista's, he's so pissed. because he's getting, everyone's kind of riding him about it. Like, this isn't towards you. It's not like, if he's watching this isn't towards you. You go in there, you got one of the hardest goddamn 135 pounders that's ever, one of the best 145 pounders that's ever existed, and a goddamn monster who's crazy experience, insane power. He's faster. He's better conditioned than he's ever been. I think he's better now than he's ever been. He's got a big task in front of him. So you do what you got to do to get a win. I'm not faulting him for that. You do you. Ignore what I'm saying. I'm talking to the judges. This isn't towards him.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I just wanted to clarify that when I said be a man and fight, I was talking about the hypothetical situations when they're constantly going up against the fence, and which there was a bit of that from Mario, but sure. I wasn't saying Mario be a man. I'm saying in those situations when you can't take him down.
Generally across the board.
Well, now you got to suck it up. You know what I mean? Right. Now you got to fight. Now you got to go for it. Anyway, that's the negatives out of the way. Let's talk about the positives, because Alex Pereira, unbelievable, just unbelievable.